Hey everybody, happy Taco Tuesday. Thanks for joining us for this Facebook Live. Just wanted to hop on here and give everybody an opportunity to ask about some very big changes that are coming to our forecast with the cold front that comes tonight. Now, something that we were talking about a little bit internally here and that folks always seem to kind of like to understand is when we say cold front, do you ever stop and think what a cold front is? It is literally the front edge of colder air moving into our area. So while we are going to see some huge changes in temperature going from this afternoon to tomorrow morning, the coldest air will be yet to come. It takes about a good 12 to 24 hours for very cold air to really settle in. So we'll talk about the timing of what to expect in your neighborhood, how cold we expect things to be, all of that coming up in just a few minutes. I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to hop on here. If you have some questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat. I'll try to answer everybody's questions and make sure that you're prepared and you know what to expect for whatever tomorrow is going to bring us, because we have an Arctic cold front coming here. That means it's a strong one, and it's really going to bring some changes. So to give some perspective, here's what's going on in your neighborhood right now. Temperatures are feeling pretty warm, just shy of the 10 o'clock hour here, and we're already in the 70s for a couple of neighborhoods. 73 at the airport here in Corpus Christi, 71 for our friends who are watching from Ingleside and Robstown, 69 in Mathis, 67 for Alice in San Diego. Cool spot looking to be freer at 62 degrees, and the opposite over here. NAS Corpus Christi reporting the same temperature as our friends up in Mathis, just shy of 70 degrees out by the water too. So we're feeling pretty good for a Tuesday here, but big changes are on the way. Winter is not done yet. So for a lot of you who have been asking, hey, are we done with cold weather? I think we accidentally may have jinxed it and triggered all this cold weather, right? Winter's not done yet, but for what it's worth, we're about 3 weeks away from the start of spring. That'll happen in mid-March. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the changes that we're expecting. So here's where our temperatures are right now. Let's talk about the winds too, because this plays a big role in everything today. So we have this southeast wind. This is an onshore wind that since it's coming from the south and it's coming from the east, this kind of onshore direction for us, it draws in warm, humid air from the Gulf and helps to keep us a little bit warmer. Our wind speeds haven't really been very strong today. We've been hanging out around 10 miles per hour for those winds, but the morning is young. As we head into this afternoon, I think that's where we'll really start to notice some rather gusty conditions, and really that'll start to pick up more before our cold front. So as we go through today, here's what you need to know. It's going to be cold. We're getting some Arctic air all the way down here in South Texas, and that is going to make for a big change. So we're calling it an Arctic blast. Here's what to expect. We are going to see some very cold air moving through the coastal bend as we go from really late afternoon, early evening into tomorrow morning. Our temperatures from the afternoon highs today into tomorrow morning, we're probably looking at a difference of 45 to 50 degrees from peak heating of the afternoon to tomorrow's coldest temperatures. That's a significant drop. So as you get ready for work and school tomorrow, our main concern is going to be how cold it is. The cold weather is what we're really concerned with, specifically feels like temperatures. So yeah, our actual air temperatures are going to be pretty cold, but because we are expecting very strong winds, what I like to call disrespectful winds, because they're never the kind that are convenient, right? We are going to be watching the wind chill values, or those feels like temperatures, very closely. Those are going to be bitter cold. In fact, there's only a small window that we're really watching for the actual air temperatures to be around the freezing mark or colder, and that looks to be tomorrow night into Thursday morning. And that's why there's a freeze watch already on deck. The National Weather Service monitoring conditions very closely in case they have to issue more watches, warnings, advisories, whatever the case may be. As we go from Wednesday night into Thursday morning, our overnight temperatures could be around 32 degrees, and depending on how close they are to that mark and how long they stay there, that's where freezing conditions will kind of come into play. But until then, really the concern is on the feels like temperature or wind chill, because that can be very dangerous to your health. That is our main concern folks that have exposed skin, we really start to get worried about this. So we'll talk about the timing first. Our front is looking to come through today. Right now, this is a look at the current big weather picture. You see that red rounded line over South Texas. That's a warm front. That is not our cold front. But if we look out even wider over the U.S., right there in the central U.S., you'll notice there's some snow that's been falling across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas, even some ice just north of the Red River Valley, and then rain across portions of East Texas and along the coast of Texas. Now, I'll bring it back and zoom in a little closer to what's going on just offshore here in the coastal bend. I'm not really expecting much for the opportunity of rain, maybe some misties as that front is coming through. If you're in Aransas County, you are just getting clipped by a little bit of this rain that is kind of on this train track right along our coast. Just because of the curvature of the coast there, you are getting clipped by some of this light rain. It's not a whole lot. We can zoom in a lot closer to your neighborhood and show you exactly where we're getting some of this rain. So if we take a much closer view into the Rockport, Fulton area, even Port A, seeing a few of these very light showers, we can show you what that looks like thanks to our 6-cam network from Sand Dollar City. Not looking very inviting of a beach day out there. You can see the surf it's moving in. We have some whitecaps out there. There's a low risk of rip currents, but it doesn't mean there's no risk of rip currents. So if you are brave enough to head out to those waters today, probably not going to be the best for surfing, but not the best for swimming either. That wind already starting to ruffle Old Glory there on our Sand Dollar City camera. You can see the American flag and that open flag starting to pick up in the wind. I expect that to be really whipping as we head into later today and especially tomorrow. But as far as any kind of rain, we're not concerned about frozen precipitation, nothing like that. Just generally kind of a gloomy day here until that wind starts to pick up behind our front. So the timing, the arrival of that cold front will be later this afternoon into the early evening hours. At least that's the way it looks right now. So our more northern and inland neighborhoods, places like Beeville, across portions of George West, all the way out to Tilden, you're probably going to see this front starting to move through around the time we head home. And then for those of us who are closer to the coast, from Port A down to Kingsville and through Corpus Christi, we'll probably see this front moving through closer to around 7 p.m. Now, what does it look like when the cold front gets here? Generally, that's when we expect gusty conditions to pick up. So for Corpus Christi specifically, here's what you can expect for those wind gusts. Yeah, we'll get a little breezy with that southeast wind heading into this afternoon, but I think really the action picks up. You can really see that difference here between about 7 and 9 p.m. Our winds will be shifting around as the front moves through. Look at that very strong north wind as we head into the early morning hours of your Wednesday. That is going to be a loud evening, y'all. We are going to have some strong north winds, and that's what makes cold temperatures all the more cold. Seriously, it does take a toll on your body. Here's the science behind the wind chill and why we care about a feels like temperature. If it feels like 30, why don't we just say it's 30? Well, there's a science behind that, and the reason is when we don't have a lot of wind, and it can be cold out, our bodies do a little bit to keep us warm. We lose heat through a scientific process called convection. Kind of like if you have a convection oven out there, you might know what that's like. So this heat radiates off us, and we kind of get this little force field of warmth around us. When there's no wind, that can generally keep us warm enough, and 45 degrees will feel like 45 degrees to our body, meaning our body will perceive the right temperature, 45 degrees. When we have windy conditions, that little force field of warmth gets disrupted. So your body has a really hard time insulating your body heat, and what may be 45 degrees feels way colder. It actually allows your body to lose body heat faster, and your body temperature can drop. Now, being here in South Texas, we don't usually see very drastic wind chills, but this is a pretty windy place. If you've lived here long enough, you know that, and so this can do something harmful to you. You can get cold-related illness, things that make you feel very cold, shivering, and especially for kids and older folks, and of course your four-legged friends, this can be an actual serious problem. So we want to make sure that everyone has a way to stay warm as we head into the next couple of days, because even tonight, as this cold front moves through, this is the forecast for our temperature and our wind chill. One thing I want to point out is the difference. So as we go through the evening hours, remember I said the cold front is the front edge of that cold air. So it takes a while for the truly cold air to get through here. Meanwhile, we're going from day to night. A little bit of sunshine tomorrow will help take us up into the 40s temperature-wise. But look at tomorrow morning, right around 8 to 10 a.m. Our actual air temperature isn't going to be quite that cold. Pretty close to where we would be for this time of the year with temperatures near 40 degrees. But because that wind is going to be so blustery, your body will perceive a temperature that is below freezing. It'll feel like 30 degrees here in Corpus Christi around 6 a.m. It'll feel like the upper 20s as we go through those early morning hours when everyone's getting the kids ready for school, maybe hanging out by the bus stop. So that's why we're putting such an importance on this. We want to make sure everyone's dressing in layers and bundling up so we don't have any exposed skin out there. We don't want anybody to have bad time with this hopefully last cold blast of air. So I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to check out the comments, see if I can answer any questions for y'all. Judy wanted to know, what time is it going to be here? Well, as we were talking about the arrival of that cold front, the cold front gets here later this afternoon into the evening hours. Of course, that time frame will be a little bit fluid because it's real time. We're tracking the arrival of this cold front, but it's not going to be until tomorrow night that we really, truly feel the coldest temperatures. Either way, though, you need to be prepared for tomorrow morning because this is unfriendly and it's not safe to be out and about in these kinds of conditions without being properly bundled up. So if you're sending the kiddos to school tomorrow, or even for yourself, it's a good idea to give yourself a few extra minutes in the morning, get the car running, warm it up before you try to hit the road. Make sure if you have gloves or mittens, we're South Texans, it's okay. We could put our pride aside for a little bit and wear those. It's a good idea to wear a couple of layers, so a few sweaters and maybe a good windbreaker on top. That'll help you out. And if you have a scarf so that you can cover your head or a hat and cover your face because that wind is really going to have a bite, that's going to be your best bet. I know if you have folks, family members who are in more northern parts of the country where you get a real winter, you get snow, things like that, they may be laughing at us a little bit, but you know, your body adapts to the climate that you're in. So for us South Texans, this is a concern. We want to make sure that we're ready for that. The good news is, as long as our actual air temperatures don't hover around the freezing mark too much, which they may on Thursday morning, overnight Wednesday into Thursday, there's a concern for that, we should generally not have to worry too much about the other two P's, plants and pipes. But it's a good idea to take advantage of the warmer temperatures today and get that taken care of because I'll show you more about that concern for the freeze watch. If you have plants and you're trying to get them ready for this cold weather, again, the wind can do a lot. At my home, I have a pipe that runs down the front of my house and catches the wind, and we try to keep that guy bundled up, but there are times where it has burst and the temperature has been above freezing. So it's an older metal pipe, and when the wind catches it, it can cool the temperature of that metal down. So cause for concern. You may just want to keep your pipes properly wrapped. But overall, the major concern is going to be as to how cold it is and how cold your body perceives it to be. So when we have that freeze for Wednesday evening into Thursday morning, I'm trying to pull up something that can help explain what we're expecting with regard to freezing conditions. There's kind of just like in the summer when we have the heat index, there's a similar kind of thing we look for when it comes to a freeze. So some plants can handle a period of colder weather, and the pipes may be a little more hardy too. What we're expecting heading into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, so not tonight, but tomorrow morning, we could be looking at a light freeze. So that's when our temperatures range between 29 and 32 degrees for 2 hours or longer. We may see hard freeze conditions in some of the more inland neighborhoods, northern neighborhoods, but this is going to be a very fine-tuned forecast, so make sure you stay on top of it so we can figure out which one of these you might be seeing as we head on into Thursday morning. It's a very fluid forecast, but in the case of a light freeze, usually it's just the more tender plants and the unprotected pipes where we see problems. If you have your pipes all taken care of from earlier in the season, or if you have some plants that are a bit more hardy, they might be okay with this with minimal preps. Either way, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, they say, right? So this is what we're looking at in terms of that concern for freeze heading into Thursday morning. It's something your neighborhood weather experts here at Chris 6 are going to be watching very, 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 very closely. But all right, alas, let's talk about the 7-day forecast and how long the cold is going to be lasting, because that's another part of this issue, right? So our front comes through today, I think ambitiously with a strong southeast wind. We may kiss 80 degrees briefly here in Corpus Christi. And then look at that drop tomorrow morning, 37 for the actual air temperature. With the wind, it's going to be feeling about 10 degrees colder than that. So that's why we're telling you to make sure you bundle up. As we go into the rest of the week, though, notice those high temperatures hanging out in the 40s, mornings in the 30s. You definitely want to make sure you've got enough layers to keep you warm, because mind you, 47 tomorrow comes with some pretty disrespectful winds gusting around 35, 40 miles per hour. So that's where we talk about those dangerous wind chills, at very least, very uncomfortable wind chills. Now, looking in the chat, a lot of you are asking about school closings and delays, things like that. Our news crew is working on that. Your neighborhood news reporters are checking in with the local school districts and making sure that there are any updates that we can pass those along to you. So yeah, again, to emphasize what Zach was saying here in the chat, we are expecting some very cold air, but no, we're not concerned about any kind of frozen stuff falling out of the sky. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the headache we'll have to deal with today. So we definitely want to make sure that folks are getting taken care of, staying warm. Warming centers will be opening tomorrow, the city's warming shelters. We have that information on our website, and there's a link to our website in the comments here on Facebook. So I'm not seeing any other questions. We will keep you updated throughout today, and of course the rest of the week. You can catch this forecast anytime, christv.com/weather. So now we'll let you back on into the rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoy the warmth today and stay warm over the next couple of days. Bye.